In the ruins of a broken world, when silence hung heavier than words and the shadows of war still lingered, there lived a woman who refused to let silence win. Her name was Elena, and every day, without fail, she wrote a letter. It didn't matter if the postman came or not. It didn't matter if the distance between her and the man she loved stretched further than the horizon. Each evening, when the sun slipped behind the rooftops and the quiet of night crept into her small home, Elena lit a candle, unfolded a sheet of cream paper, and began to write. At first, her words were filled with hope, reminders of laughter they once shared, small details of her day, promises that when he returned, nothing would have changed. But as the days stretched into weeks, and the weeks into months, her letters grew heavier, denser, as though the ink itself carried the weight of her sorrow. She never stopped, not through the long nights of loneliness, not through the endless days of waiting, because in her heart, she believed her words could cross the silence. And then one day, a letter came back, his handwriting, his envelope, his mark, but inside, there were no words, just a blank page, a haunting silence that spoke louder than any letter could. This is her story, a story of love, obsession, silence, and the empty letter that would change everything. The war had ended, but the scars remained. Streets lay silent, houses gutted by bombings, and yet life struggled to move forward. Elena lived alone in a weathered house with walls that had once echoed with laughter. Now they held only silence. Every day, she sat by the same wooden desk, worn smooth by her elbows, scarred by the years. She dipped her pen into the ink and pressed it against the page. Her first letters were filled with tenderness. "Dearest, I woke today to the sound of church bells, and for a moment, I thought of you. The world feels heavy, but thinking of you makes it light again. I write so you will not forget the sound of my soul, even if the world forgets me." She folded the letter with care, pressed a kiss to the envelope, and sealed it with wax. Each letter was not just ink on paper, but a piece of her, a heartbeat captured in words. The letters grew in number. She stacked them on her desk before carrying them to the postbox. Day after day, the ritual continued. The weight of her devotion could have built a wall. And still she wrote. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months. And with every passing season, Elena's ritual continued. In winter, she sat close to the fire, her breath fogging in the cold air as snow fell silently outside. She wrote with frozen fingers, her tears staining the page. In spring, she opened the window to let in the scent of blossoms, and her words turned softer, filled with images of flowers and light. In summer, she wrote by open window, sweat clinging to her brow as the candle wax melted quickly in the heat. In autumn, she wrote as the wind howled and leaves battered the window like restless spirits. The seasons changed, the world changed, but Elena did not. She wrote, her letters filled with hope, with longing, with devotion so deep it became obsession. She did not question why no reply ever came. She did not wonder if silence was an answer. For her, writing was survival. Each letter was an anchor, and if she stopped, she feared she would drift away. Somewhere across the miles, her letters did arrive, but not as she hoped. A pair of hands, rough and war-worn, opened them. His face remained in shadows, hidden, but his silence was louder than her words. He read her devotion. He traced her handwriting. He folded her letters and placed them carefully into a trunk, already overflowing with unopened envelopes. Her words were received, but they were never answered, and still she wrote. Every morning, Elena stood by the old postbox outside her home. She clutched her newest letter in her hands, waiting, searching the horizon for the postman's figure. Every morning, she was met with disappointment. An empty box, a silence that cut like a blade. And yet, every night she wrote again. If you love me, if you remember me, if you are alive, send me just one word. Break this silence. Please. Her handwriting grew frantic, her ink darker, her words thicker with desperation. But still no reply came. And then, it happened. One evening, as rain battered the windows and thunder rolled in the distance, there was a knock at the door. Elena's heart pounded. She rushed, flung the door open, and there he stood, the postman, soaked and shivering, clutching an envelope. Her eyes widened, her hands trembled. His handwriting, his mark. She clutched it to her chest, tears spilling down her face. She had been heard. He had written back. Her fingers tore at the paper, ripping the envelope open in a frenzy of desperate hope. Inside, nothing. A blank page. Elena's knees gave way. She collapsed to the floor, clutching the blank page, her sobs choking the silence. Not even goodbye, she whispered. Her world spun. The letters scattered around her like fallen leaves. The candle flickered violently, casting shadows that seemed to mock her. Silence pressed in on every side. The empty letter was louder than all the words she had written. The truth came later. The man Elena wrote to had been gone for months. Her letters never reached him. They were gathered by strangers, placed upon his grave, unopened, unread. The empty letter had not been from him at all, but from another soldier, a stranger who could not bear to send her nothing. He thought silence would be kinder. He was wrong. Elena sat in her room, surrounded by letters. The empty one lay in her lap. She pressed it to her chest and whispered, "If silence is your answer, then let it be my prayer." The candle burned lower, flickered once, then died. Darkness swallowed her whole. She wrote a letter every day. Her love outlived him. Her words outlasted silence. But the last letter, the empty one, was not a letter at all. It was a haunting reminder that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Now I ask you, if you were Elena, would you have kept writing? Or would you have let silence win? Share your thoughts below. And if this story moved you, subscribe to the Unsolved Case Files for more haunting mysteries, true story-inspired tales, and forgotten voices from the past. Because silence may be powerful, but stories live forever.